Ever since the original games, the series has played around with the concept of ghosts. And I'm not talking exactly about the ghost types that we all know and love, but actual real-deal ghosts do find their way into the games from time to time. Starting all the way back in the original games, we have the infamous Lavender Town. Being the source of some quite popular urban legends, it is a bit of a gloomy place no matter what. For it is home to Pokémon Tower, which is a graveyard for Pokémon. Most likely the first time you try entering, you'll only find unidentifiable ghosts in your way. Upon returning once you have the Silph Scope, however, it reveals that these are just measly ghost-type Pokémon, like Ghastly and Haunter. Well, except for the one blocking the final staircase, as that's revealed to be the ghost of a Marowak. Straight up the ghost of a dead Pokémon that you have to help put to rest. From the very beginning, they have been giving a glimpse into the Pokémon world's afterlife. And while it's not as strong as the Ghost Marowak, there's also an NPC in town that will ask the player if they believe in ghosts, and also mentions a white hand being on your shoulder. While Kanto makes a return in the Johto games, the Pokémon Tower is replaced by a radio station, and while Hoenn contains a graveyard of its own, nothing too out of the ordinary takes place there. We have this short little break from the Pokémon Supernatural, up until we reach the Sinnoh region. Sinnoh, being a region filled with so much lore and mythology, brings back the hauntings that had been absent the past 2 generations. For early on, you come across the old chateau, an old abandoned building in the Eterna Forest. While you can find ghost-type Pokémon here, including Rotom, there's a few things more sinister about. For once you enter the dining hall, you will see a butler float by, and upon following where he went, he'll be nowhere to be found. That's not all, however, for when you start inspecting the rooms on the 2nd floor, you'll eventually see a girl in a room next to the one you're in, and she'll look towards the player and then float away. Still not done with the Sinnoh region. As you move towards the north, near the Ice Rock, there is a house with a lady inside who will give you a spell tag. Upon leaving and re-entering, you'll find that the lady has completely disappeared, and is believed to be a reference to a Yuki Onna. The Unova region, with its story-heavy focus, gives a bit more thought into its ghost appearances. In the originals, there's a ghost girl on the Miraculous Bridge that disappears once you get close to her. An NPC in the East Gate will explain how the girl used to play with an Abra in this area before the bridge was built. In the sequels, one of the new areas added to the map contains the Strange House, which is another spooky house you get to explore. Throughout the house, you will interact with the ghost girl from the bridge, where she mentions things like the Abra and the Lunar Wing, which can be found on the 2nd floor. After these encounters, if you return to the bridge where she was in the first game, you'll be able to encounter a wild Cresselia. There's also some ghost stuff in the Pokestar Studio movies, but due to them being movies, don't think they super count, just kind of want to give them a little mention here. Moving on to Generation 6, we have the most famous ghost in the entire series, X and Y's very own Lumiose Ghost Girl. In Lumiose City, there's a building you can enter with an elevator inside. You ride the elevator up, and as you exit, you'll be greeted by a Hex Maniac that floats from behind you, says, "No, you are not the one," and floats away off screen to never be seen again. Due to being such a weird and mysterious encounter, mixed in with the new Pokemon boom that came with Gen 6, it led to a lot of theorizing as to what this encounter could mean. I'm not here to speculate on what it could mean, as taking part in it and theorizing for yourself is the source of a lot of fun in these scenarios. There's many other Hex Maniacs in this game, some having weird dialogue, such as one mentioning they won't be able to hear the elevator. But none of them float, none of them disappear after the first encounter. None of them really cause a mystery centered on them. A Hex Maniac shows up in the Pokemon Graveyard in Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, and she says the iconic line of the Lumiose Ghost Girl, but she's just a normal NPC like the rest of them. So whether this is supposed to be a tie to the mystery, or merely just Game Freak referencing the commotion that the ghost girl caused, who really knows? Speaking of ghosts in Oras though, there is a new ghost girl. Once you reach Phoebe, the ghost master of the Hoenn Elite Four, there's a blink and you miss it moment of a girl randomly appearing and sitting in the chair in the back of the room. To my knowledge, there's nothing more to this, and realistically it's just to be in theme with Phoebe's ghost typing. But being right after the XY ghost girl, it does make you wonder what they might be trying to get across here. Before moving on, there's also the scary house in X and Y, which is just a house where a man will tell you a scary story. Nothing super ghostly about it, but it does kind of fit the theme. Alola's first ghost appearance came super early as it was actually in the demo. In Hau'oli City, there's a girl you can talk to that will mention wanting to sail to see her parents, but she is nervous and asks to be seen off. As she walks away, a Machamp passes by her and she ups and disappears behind him. Moving on to the Ultra games, you can meet a girl in the trainer school who will task you with solving 7 mysteries around the school. Once you complete these tasks, the girl will give a reward and you'll be interrupted by a security guard. During this, the girl disappears and the guard will say that the player was alone the entire time. Our last stop for this video comes in Sword and Shield, where you can find a girl in Hammerlock, who asks you to deliver a letter to a boy in Balanlia. Upon finding the boy, you'll see that he is in fact an older gentleman, and he will tell you of a friend he had when he was younger that fell ill, and he eventually had to move away. If you return to where the girl was, you'll find nothing but a Reaper cloth in her place. Alrighty, I think that's the thick of it. There's a lot more that could be gone over in terms of ghosts in the series, like the ghost type itself, or the Pokemon with Pokedex entries mentioning how they were once people and etc. I just wanted to focus on proper ghost encounters you have in the games, and not the implied ones. There's also ghosts in the anime and probably in some of the spin-offs, but as usual, I stick to the main games as they're what I know best. These little encounters always led to so much wonder in my childhood. I remember trying to re-find the butler in the old chateau, as well as trying to search up if there was more that I was missing. Such a small detail buried in an area that probably gets passed over by a lot of players still achieved one of the things that Pokemon does best, and that is giving that sense of wonder. If you made it this far, I'd like to thank you all for watching. Since it is October, I felt it was only natural to tackle some of the spookier ideas I've had laying around. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like or even consider subscribing, as both those truly do help the channel grow and I really appreciate it. Also, would love to hear from you in the comments down below, even if it's just the encounters you've had with these ghostly events. If you'd like to further support the content, consider becoming a member. Doing so grants you some perks such as having your name appear on screen right about now in future videos. This has been Big Blast 99, and I hope you all have yourselves a goddamn good one.